We're going to talk a lot about a certain quarterback.
Yes.
Penn State quarterback, early, first down. Trace McSorley, a couple weeks removed from spring practice. A lot of people are starting kind of putting it together that this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, it took a while.
Do you feel he is underappreciated, or do you think that, you know, in the right circles he is kind of getting the credit he deserves?
Yeah,
Trace?
Bob, I think that in national circles he's going to have the appropriate amount of respect from a large college football perspective by the time the season gets here.
Right.
I think right now people are just starting to sort of wake up to the fact of how good this kid is. Of course, the caveat that comes with it now is will he do it without Joe Moorhead, without Saquon Barkley, right, Mike Gesicki, Deshaun Hamilton, etc. So I do think that there's a little bit of hesitation from some folks that have been watching him from afar, maybe not as appreciative or aware of his numbers, what he's done with this Penn State offense. But as the preseason, post-spring top 25s and All-Americans and this ranking, that list, the other things all start to come out, he's a guy that's really picked up a lot of buzz of late. I think he's appreciated in the Penn State circles and maybe the Big Ten circles, but nationally, I think he's going to start to get his due here over the next couple of months.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he was, until James Franklin got here, he was going to go to Vanderbilt. He was only really a three-star coming out of Virginia. No one really knew what to expect. For me, the second half of that first game, the Tax Slayer Bowl, I thought was really a good indication of what kind of person, what kind of quarterback they were getting. Yeah. He's the kind of kid, which I think he doesn't get enough credit for. He's the kind of player that he doesn't necessarily always start strong, but he has a knack for kind of figuring things out in most games against good teams that he plays, and if he doesn't start strong, he really closes strong. You saw what he did against Georgia, and he's continued to do that. He's continued to get better. His completion percentage is impressive. But yeah, I think when you look at the Big Ten, Greg, it's actually last year, you know, they didn't really talk about the quarterbacks in the Big Ten. It was really just J.T. Barrett and Trace. I think this year it's a little bit more interesting. I think the Big Ten East itself is going to be very interesting to see how the quarterbacks develop, because there's some good players, I think, coming in to the conference. Yeah,
no question. I mean, Joe Burrows leaves Ohio State, which, as we just talked about before we started getting going here, that pretty much says all you need to know about Dwayne Haskins at this point. I mean, they have some other guys on the roster there as well, but I mean, it feels like he's the guy. So you have him, you have Shea Patterson now eligible at Michigan, and obviously he comes highly regarded from Ole Miss. Trace is at the top of the Big Ten list heading into the season, but you're right, there's a lot of guys that could, you know, certainly will try to unseat him by the time December gets here.
Don't forget about Brian Lewerke, the Michigan State quarterback who threw for 400 on Penn State last year in the rain, and also I don't know how I feel about the Wisconsin quarterback, Alex Hornibrook. He can always, sometimes he doesn't look very good. He played very good in their bowl win over Miami. I think threw for 4 touchdowns. I bring him up because Penn State's going to play Wisconsin at Beaver Stadium. So I do think with Penn State's schedule, when you consider they got to play at Michigan, Ohio State's coming in, they got to play Wisconsin, some other challenging games, Michigan State. I think if Trace has a good year, and I think we're especially bringing him up now because of Baker Mayfield going #1 overall. Similar body type, similar size, dual threat. So I think people are kind of, the light bulb just went off and said, hey, Trace kind of can do a lot of the same things that Baker Mayfield could do. He plays in his spread. Is he going to have a year that Baker just had? I think it's a little early, especially considering who they lost. But I do think if he does better what he did the last 2 years, he's going to be right in the thick of, when we get to our second down, the Heisman Trophy